People we're told in the house, so to speak.
Yeah, all the mind games are over now. All your preparation, it's all about the start, being focused on that ball.
Long handball out wide, Whitfield. Bowled over. Richmond, got players. Jack wants to go. Lynch is free. Martin's there as well. Big movement by the Tigers.
Dusty loves to run around, he is.
And he does. And the Tigers do too. Soldo, quick movement for the Tigers will give them a chance. Mumford with the tackle was impressive. Here he is, Pickett, really starting to come into the game a little bit now. Kick was a little bit sloppy to centre half forward out the back door. Rioli, this time, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a goal. Right on the siren. He's got it. Rioli kicks a goal on the quarter-time siren.
The eyes never left the footy though, did it?
Soldo to Pickett. Whoa, what about that? A full 360 in slow motion. Just down your marks. Wonderful play out of the middle to put the dagger in the heart on grand final day. Marlon Pickett lines up.
Rioli's kicked a crotch into beauty. The skipper goes and goes and then tries to lace it out, but no, he doesn't. He kicks a goal. It's back to Floston.
Goes deep. Shaw tries to attack the footy. Martin able to pick it up and turns around the corner. Dusty just nails it. The Tigers are premiers for the 12th time in their history.
Hello and welcome to a special presentation celebrating Richmond's 2019 season when the Tigers brought their A game to grand final day and completely dominated GWS to win the club's 12th VFL AFL Premiership. It was the club's second flag in 3 years, establishing this group as one of the finest in the modern era. And in this special, we're going to take an in-depth look back at season 2019. And taking us inside the Richmond camp are two-time Premiership players, Basher Hooley and Dion Prestia. And gentlemen, congratulations. Two-time Premiership players. Got a nice ring to it, doesn't it, Dion?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a dream to get to grand final day, and to win one is amazing. So, we're definitely very humbled and very proud of what we've done in 2019.
When Damien Hardwick took over as Richmond coach at the end of 2009, the club hadn't played finals in 8 years. 2010 was readjustment, then the steady upward progress began. 12th in 2011 when you joined the Tigers, Basher, 12th again, then finals in 13, 14 and 15, but they all ended in week one losses. A disappointing 13th in 2016 tested faith and patience. But Basher, other than Dion joining you in 2017, what else changed at Punt Road that saw that obvious potential that was lurking under the surface finally realised?
I think clearly that there was something that had to change at the football club. It wasn't personnel or anything like that. Rather, it was a culture of the football club. And at the time, the club employed some special people to come into the club and try to uplift the feeling around the football club. I think Dimmer went to do a course or two overseas to further his leadership skills and the way he coaches his team. But as far as I can remember, during that pre-season, it was full of fun. It was just full of living in the moment, to be quite honest. And things just started to click in from week in to another week. And there was a great feeling. We started to build connection and further relationships with our fellow teammates. And it's amazing when you start to really invest in each other. you start playing for each other, and the best football comes out.
So the talent was always there, but the X factor, that special sauce, was just the relationships, the connection, and just enjoying the journey.
Absolutely, enjoying the journey. That word is has kind of summed up our 3 years in the system, where it's been very successful through making the most of the journey, and don't let the final outcome determine, or what's the word for it? More summarise the whole moments that you have. So I remember 2018 losing the prelim final. It was one game that we've lost, but rather the whole season was part of the journey, and it was a very successful year. And we believe that we can move forward and believe in our system, and anything can happen from there.
Dion, Basher mentioned the 2018 preliminary final. That denied you a shot at back-to-back glory. The disappointment of that night, and then the aftermath when you guys got together as a group, what impact did that have on your 2019 season?
It was obviously a disappointing night, and Collingwood really dominated the whole entire game. So I guess on the night you felt a bit helpless, like as you would losing a prelim, because you know how close you got to that success. But I wouldn't say it drove everything from our year in 2019. I think in 2018 we were so good all year, and I guess we kind of had top spot really wrapped up from a fair way out. So it was kind of a different feel, and it probably took the edge off the season that little bit, which in 2019, we're fighting for a top 4 spot for the whole entire year right up to the last game. So it was disappointing, but we definitely learned some good lessons from that.
A little bit like Geelong this year. They were on top so far and so far in front. It's hard to sort of stay up, isn't it? And just peak at the right time.
Yeah, definitely. I think we played Geelong around 13, 14, and they were absolutely flying. And we weren't going too well, but it was obviously a different story in the prelim.
So despite winning a flag and coming within 2 wins of defending it, the external narrative entering the 2019 pre-season had suddenly turned to Richmond needs to win the flag in 2019 or they might be wasting this era. Basher, is that how the group felt inside the 4 walls, or was that just external noise?
Definitely external noise. What happens in the 4 walls at the football club, it's very sacred, and I can guarantee you that it's fun, it's enjoyable. And we don't look at previous performances, to define us or to motivate us moving forward. And thinking about that prelim final, people would say, was that the driving force? Was that your form of motivation? To come out the blocks early and to perform really well and have another shot at a grand final. It wasn't the case. It was more about the process. It was about the enjoying the journey, as I mentioned before. Starting from a great pre-season, a fun, enjoyable, solid pre-season, but just enjoying all the moments that come with it. And I remember, multiple sessions where it was very, very solid, but we were in it together, and the smiles on each other's faces was something that that resonates with me. And there's no coincidence why you're a successful team, but. It's all about the journey. It's all about enjoying every single moment, and that was Dimma's message from day one. The reality is, we're here and now. Enjoy it, because football can come and go without you knowing, and it's a blink of an eye. So enjoy the moment.
Richmond would enter the 2019 season as premiership favourites, buoyed by the recruitment of the game's biggest free agent, Tom Lynch, from the Gold Coast. And Dion, there were some questions, including by Alex Rance last year, about how Tom might fit into the Richmond structure, but 2020 hindsight obviously shows that the timing of Tom's arrival at Tigerland turned out to be impeccable. How did he fit in early on and off the field, and did it take a little bit of time to work him into the system?
I guess it was probably a tough one for Tom, because he started in rehab and he obviously spent the whole pre-season in rehab. So I guess I find the best way to form relationships and get to know your teammates is being out on the track with them, and I guess it's where you can really form those strong relationships, where Tom probably missed out on. So it's an absolute credit to him, because he's such a good guy. He could go to any club in any situation, and I could think everyone would get along with him and absolutely love him. He's just got that, goofy personality where you just really love. And I'm sure it would have been really tough for him coming to a new club and starting in rehab, but what he was able to achieve this year was absolutely amazing, and full credit to what he's all the work that he put in probably back in September, really, in 2018.
Well, let's get into our look back at the 2019 season and revisit how this premiership campaign unfolded week by week. It began way back on March 21st with what turned out to be a somewhat bittersweet season opener at the home of footy.
Richmond launched into 2019 against traditional rival Carlton in front of a huge crowd at the MCG. The Tigers were at their ferocious and brilliant best early in the contest, with marquee recruit Tom Lynch booting 2 of his 3 goals in the opening term.
And the Richmond fans are delighted.
The lead blew out to 40 points at the start of the second quarter, before Carlton staged a mini fight back.
Carlton kicked the first goal of their season.
The lead was just 10 points at the start of the last term, but the Tigers showed all their class to stretch the margin.
Jumping Jack!
Trent Cotchin, Basher Hooley and Dustin Martin were solid, while Toby Nankervis booted 3 goals.
Nankervis for a 3rd goal. He has the big fella.
But a season-ending knee injury to All-Australian defender Alex Rance was a sour note in the 33-point victory.
Not a great thing to see for any player, especially on a milestone game.
Another big crowd was on hand in round 2 as Richmond took on Collingwood at the MCG. The first term was evenly matched, with both sides full of run and opportunity, but unable to put it on the scoreboard. Jordan De Goey inspired the Pies to a 24-point break deep in the second term. But 3 late goals to the Tigers, including one to Shane Edwards, dragged the margin back to 6 points at the main break.
Goal after the siren would be amazing for the Tigers. Punt right in, crowd will tell you everything you need to know. What about this game of footy?
Richmond's pressure rose in the third quarter, but they couldn't overhaul the Magpies. The last quarter was all Collingwood, stretching the margin to 44 points. A date with Greater Western Sydney awaited Richmond in round 3, and thanks to 2 goals to Daniel Rioli and 1 to debutant Sydney Stack, the Tigers took a 9-point advantage into the first break.
It's there! That could be the real fire starter for the Tigers.
The Giants had all the running in the second term.
Hopper! Kicks another.
Before the 2 sides traded goals in a seesawing third quarter.
Now Castagna. Lostone's playing deep and Lambert is as well.
Like the previous round, the Tigers couldn't find another gear as the home side booted 6 goals in the final quarter to run out 49-point winners. Tom Lynch booted 4 goals, while Rioli, Kane Lambert and Dion Prestia also stood up. Richmond was forced into making 6 changes for its round 4 clash against Port Adelaide. The sides traded goals early, Josh Caddy hitting the scoreboard twice to keep Richmond in the contest.
He's going to be a major source of goals, and he's put it through.
The Tigers drew closer in the second term.
Prestia, these are the ones they have to nail, and he knows it.
Before they started to get on top in the third quarter.
Higgins left it behind for Stack. Rioli leaves Port behind. Lynch can take the mark. He can stroll into goal.
Tom Lynch booted 3 of his 6 goals for the match, and the Tigers jumped out to a 3-goal advantage. The home side clawed its way back into the contest, and there were 4 lead changes in the last quarter. But the Tigers finished the stronger, kicking the final 2 goals of the game.
He has the kick now. He's a Tiger! Tiger Tom!
As well as Lynch, Brandon Ellis, Jack Ross and Dylan Grimes were all instrumental in the 7-point win.
Well, this is as big a win as it gets for Richmond in home and away football.
Richmond hosted Sydney at Marvel Stadium, and from the outset, the Tigers' trademark pressure was back. After opening up a slender lead at the first change, they put the foot down in the second quarter to break the game wide open.
Now they're in all sorts of strife. Baker's over to chop it out and slam it home.
A nice little purple patch at the moment. Martin to Prestia. Caddy's a dangerous one-on-one player.
And he was too strong. 46-15 last year, Josh Caddy. Straight through the middle. And Josh Caddy delivers a 53-point halftime lead to the Tigers.
Dustin Martin was back in more ways than one. And so too were Basher Hooley and Dion Prestia, as the lead stretched out to 37 points at the final change.
Long ball inside 50. Lynch comes at it again. Dusty front and centre. Goal, Richmond.
From there, they were never headed. Another Swans turnover leading to Jason Castagna's match sealer late in the fourth quarter.
That's a good ball.
So a bit of a mixed bag through the opening 5 rounds for Richmond in 2019. The Tigers 3-2 after a solid win over Carlton, then heavy back-to-back losses to Collingwood and GWS before rebounding with back-to-back wins over Port on the road and Sydney at Marvel Stadium. Bash, opening night was a roller coaster, as we said. A great win over Carlton, but losing Alex Rance. From the defensive group's perspective, how did you regroup and reshuffle without a guy who's been one of the best players in the competition for the last few years, knowing he's done for the season?
Yeah, at first I remember it was a huge shock. I remember I injured my hamstring as well, probably at 3 or 4 minutes to go into that game as well. But obviously the big story was Alex Rance, and you know he's the barometer of our football club. And you know for guys like Dylan Grimes and Nick Floston and David Asprey to step up and I guess take their game to another level, not only on field but from off field perspective, and to continue to grow belief and to put belief in our group, particularly our back seven, you know, was sensational. I remember just Dylan Grimes and David Asprey just were always voicing their opinions when they had to. You know, it's their leadership stepped up, and you know, guys like myself and Jaden Short are not overly vocal, but are very good listeners. But guys like Dylan Grimes were just instrumental with their voice, their communication, and their direction. Where you know that's where Alex Rance was led the charge.
Things weren't going to plan early for the team, Dion. A couple of pretty heavy losses by Richmond standards, and then a host of injuries. Rance ACL, Rewalt knee and wrist, Basher did his hamstring, Koch did his hamstring, Jaden Short elbow, Dustin Martin got suspended. How did you guys as a team keep the faith? Because in those situations, a season can get away from you quick, can't it, if suddenly you feel like you got the skids underneath you?
Yeah, definitely. I think there was a lot of noise from the outside as well, just kind of talking about all these injuries, and we're going to get too far behind, and Richmond can't win it without Rance and things like that. So yeah, it was, I guess, pretty hard to keep everyone up and energised when there was a lot of the talk. But I guess we just went along with our business as per normal. So yeah, I think Mason Cox got a hold of us again in round 2, and then it was all that Port Adelaide game. You know, you learn a lot of lessons when you lose, but that was probably one game that really got us going that year, for the year, really. So I remember Dylan Grimes just having an unbelievable day. It was one of the best, I guess, backman performances that I've seen, and to win that game with probably one of the youngest lists, I think we played with that game. So it's just amazing.
And in Jack Rewalt's absence, Tom Lynch really stepped up, Basher, and his start to the season, as we mentioned, off an interrupted pre-season, was amazing.
Yeah, it is very, very hard to you know, to find your feet, particularly when you haven't you know, grouped really well with the majority of the team through the pre-season. But for him to start the season like the way he did was you know, it was sensational, and kind of just took a little bit of pressure off Jack to an extent, and you know, to complement Jack's work as well. And, you know, people doubted out there where, you know, Lynchy wasn't going to be the best fit. You know, we've won a premiership without him, but you know, we had Jack go down for a number of games this year, and for him to step up and to present the way he's presented is, you know, it's a credit to him. It's a credit also to the rehab coaches, to the physios and doctors who you know, put a lot of effort into him and put a lot of belief in him. But I think to add on to Dion's you know, comment before about, you know, young group, I remember, you know, in the change rooms, it was all about having fun. Even the pre-game speech by the skipper of Shane Edwards at the time. Shane's a man of a few words, but very, very effective. But at times you'd pass the reins to Camden McIntosh. Do you remember, Camden's pre-game little warm-up? Do you want to share that?
Yeah, well, that was... So usually the captain does a speech just before we run out, but Shane wanted to bring something different into that. So he got Camden McIntosh to do the old school yell out a number and run the spot. So he was doing like the 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one of them. So we did that.
You mean you guys don't do that anymore?
Yeah, we don't do it anymore. So I think we were out of camera shot when we did that. So that was something that I guess Shane and Camden brought to the group, and it's just having a laugh, and you go out so relaxed. Like you probably see all of us walking out with a smile on our face, and just enjoying it. Pretty much a free hit we had that week, and it was just having fun interstate, and it was one of our best wins for the year.
So Richmond entered round 6 as Anzac Eve clash with Melbourne at 3-2 in 10th position, making it crucial for the Tigers to string together some consistently good football in order to keep in touch with the leading pack. Let's check out the highlights now of round 6 to 10.
Building momentum was the key when Richmond met Melbourne in the now traditional Anzac Day Eve clash. After trailing by 6 points at quarter time, the Tigers slowly but surely took control of the contest. They made their bold move at the end of the third term, Jack Riewoldt's pair of goals in the latter stages giving them the separation they needed.
Pretty clever football. He's first. It's Salem able to control it to Harms, but the pressure's immense from Richmond. Baker, Edwards. Handball chopped out, but he goes back and gets it. Baker, left foot inside, 50 ball, Jack's out the back. For 2 in a minute for Jack Riewoldt, and he's kicked it.
Nick Vlauston and Basher Hooley were brilliant down back, limiting the Demons to just 2 second-half goals.
Neil Bullen just couldn't release the handball. Desperate tackle, Hooley.
Damien Hardwick's side took command of the game in the last term, with the margin blowing out beyond 7 goals. After beginning the year in shaky fashion and losing a number of important players to injury, the Tigers were now 4 wins from 6 games. It was a tough night as Richmond had a 3-match winning streak broken at Marvel Stadium, going down to the Western Bulldogs, who put on a dominant display. The absence of Richmond's 2 defensive pillars, Alex Rance and David Asprey, was highlighted by a breakout game for Aaron Norton, while hamstrung captain Trent Cotchin was sorely missed in the midfield. There was little for the Tigers to get excited about, other than Dustin Martin showing glimpses of his best, and another exciting outing from Sydney Stack in just his 5th game.
Stack has kicked a really good goal.
Dion Prestia, Kane Lambert and Martin all worked hard, while Stack and Jack Ross continued their impressive debut campaigns.
Now they cut back inboard. Good ball too to Ellis. Now Ross from downtown, and they need it. That's a great finish.
Although the Tigers were injury-ravaged, they were right to believe they could storm Fremantle's fortress. And despite suffering game-ending injuries to Toby Nankervis and Jack Ross in the first half, Damien Hardwick's men took the 4 points. Richmond had winners everywhere on the night, none bigger than 13-gamer Shai Bolton, playing his first match in his home state.
And he sends it straight through the middle. Ryan went crashing into Castagna. Bolton skips clear of them all. A clean pair of heels with the shimmy, the shake and the finish.
He bagged 4 goals and was the fire starter in an electric opening quarter.
Bolter sent it long to the square. Lynch!
Tom Lynch took a massive 6 contested marks, 5 grabs inside 50 and booted 2 goals too in a strong display.
Opens the door for Lynch, who can steady fire on goal, and the Tigers have got the first 2.
But it was the Tigers' ferocious Smalls who brought back memories of their 2017 form.
He arcs around Terra and the umpire, and that is a brilliant goal. Castagna with an amazing finish. It's a huge win for the Tigers season.
It was a performance that would renew confidence in Richmond's premiership ambitions. Against Hawthorn in round 9, it wasn't quite vintage Richmond, but it was vintage Dusty. Winding back the clock with a performance reminiscent of his 2017 best, Dustin Martin kept Richmond's season on an upwards trajectory with a stellar display. He was dominant forward and destructive through the midfield, winning 37 disposals, 10 clearances and kicking 2 goals as the Tigers saw off a wasteful Hawks outfit to run out 36-point winners. In a depleted midfield, Martin's scintillating return to form was pivotal as the Tigers claimed a 5th victory from 6 games. The win entrenching Richmond inside the top 8 and putting 2 games worth of breathing space between itself and the chasing pack. If Richmond could have picked a night to play without a ruckman, it was this one. The Tigers entered the dream time at the G-Clash against Essendon, missing first-choice big man Toby Nankervis through injury and suspended backup Ivan Soldo. But with teeming rain for the first half at the MCG and slippery conditions thereafter, any advantage the Bombers could have enjoyed in the dry was gone. The Tigers, armed with a fleet of small forwards, a strong-bodied midfield and a dependable back six, ran away with a strong 22-point win.
Can snap and kick a beautiful goal.
Their forward line was dominated by their smalls.
Struck it really well. What about that?
With Jack Higgins, Daniel Rioli, Jason Castagna, Shai Bolton and Liam Baker combining for 7 goals and 21 tackles.
Oh, look at the pickup. Beautifully done. Baker. Can he bend it around? Liam Baker!
Richmond's ability to mop up the ball in its back half and sweep it forward was best represented by the performance of Basher Hooley, who was best afield for the Tigers as they cemented themselves among the top rung of contenders.
So an impressive 5 weeks of footy saw Richmond go 4-1 to jump up into the top 4 approaching the midway point of the season. Despite being inundated with even more injuries, Nankervis with an adductor, Asprey an ankle, Riewoldt another knee issue, Rioli ribs, Ross ankle, Lambert Achilles. There's no substitute for depth, is there though, Dion? And you see the youngsters that came in, Jack Ross, Sydney Stack, Liam Baker, Noah Bolter, Shai Bolton. These guys just stepped up and did their jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we made a lot of structural changes as well through that. So Shai Bolton was playing amazing footy in the midfield in the VFL. So I think the Fremantle game was probably the first one where we probably threw him into the midfield mix and just gave him that opportunity that he was doing so well in the VFL. And Noah Bolter is just an absolutely unbelievable athlete and does some freakish things. So for those boys to get a chance and it was just, I guess, helps our depth and why we're so strong.
Provides a great energy for the group too, doesn't it, Bash? When young kids come in, take their chance, they contribute, and it really energises the whole group.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think it was a gift in a way having a few players out from a opportunity perspective for these young kids to step up and have an opportunity at the highest level. Nobody wants to go down being injured and, you want to have your best outfit on the park, but it's a credit to our development, the football club with Craig McRae, Ryan Ferguson who lead up development, Xavier Clark as well, who do a sensational job in terms of preparing these young kids, preparing for AFL football. So, they've gone out and won the premiership in the VFL as well, but it's all about the basics, it's all about executing structures and putting your best foot forward. So when they're ready to get a call up or their names called up to play in the ones, they can step up and play freely and have that belief that there's not much of a difference from VFL to AFL. So the way they prepare for VFL football is the way they should, or the way they should prepare for AFL football.
Speaking of opportunity, Shane Edwards had the opportunity to captain the side. Trent Cotchin was out for 7 weeks. Dan, what did that do to the dynamic, firstly, of the group and also for Shane? What did it do for Shane?
Shane's just a real lovable character. I think every Richmond supporter would absolutely love him, but the players just absolutely love the way he goes about it, and he's such a good leader for everyone coming through, and even for the older guys. He's just an amazing person, and he just really, I feel like he didn't try to be like Trent, or he didn't try to be like Jack or Alex. He just had his own leadership model, and that he stuck by that. So he was always trying to bring other players up to do the pre-game speeches, or he kind of paved the way for other guys like Kane Lambert or myself to really use our leadership abilities as well.
So the Tigers headed into round 11's clash with North Melbourne, having won 6 of their last 7 and seemingly headed for another top 2 finish. But this roller coaster of a season was about to take another dip. Let's take a look back at rounds 11 to 16.
Bolstered by the return of skipper Trent Cotchin from a long-term hamstring injury, the Tigers started promisingly in round 11, but simple errors hampered them all night. The Kangaroos out-hunted the AFL's Pressure Kings and ran out winners in Reece Shaw's first game as caretaker coach. Richmond lost the tackle count and contested possessions, never looked like winning after kicking only 1 goal in a poor third quarter. Little went right despite another superb performance from Dustin Martin, who slotted 3 goals and had 21 touches.
Oh, he is back. 2017's Man of the Year.
Richmond had won 26 of its past 28 games at the MCG, heading into the round 12 contest against Geelong. The Tigers threw everything they had at Geelong in a tense opening quarter. Their relentless pressure saw them dominate general play, but they weren't able to make it count where it mattered. From the second term, Geelong dominated in the clinches and finished with an advantage of 33 in contested possessions. Dion Prestia battled hard in the midfield, but it wasn't the Tigers' night, going down to the Cats by 67 points. Richmond limped towards the bye, desperate for a break to freshen its stocks. In the absence of both Toby Nankervis and Ivan Soldo, it was youngster Noah Bolter who started as Richmond's first-choice ruck. Late inclusion Mabior Chol started forward and kicked his first career goal in the opening seconds.
Hardigan did a good job. Chol! Yes, sirree! That's a good way to start.
The Tigers were valiant and took an 11-point lead into half-time, but the Crows fought back in the second half, recording a 33-point victory. Stand-in captain Dustin Martin led from the front all night to finish with 32 disposals and 9 marks, as well as 2 goals.
Oh, this is a dangerous ball. When Dusty's around, it's real dangerous. Picks the pocket, kicks the goal.
But despite his efforts, too few Tigers were able to provide Martin with support as the side's seemingly endless injury list continued to take its toll. A host of big-name stars returned from injury after the bye as Richmond headed to Marvel Stadium in round 15 to take on St Kilda. The Tigers found the going tough early as the Saints piled on goals. Some Sydney Stack brilliance helping reduce the damage to just a goal at the first change.
Stack! And that's his 4th goal for the year. And importantly, Richmond's first.
The rising star contender was again in the thick of the action early in the second quarter, and again late to keep his side right in the contest.
Saints giving this everything, and so too the Tigers countering. Castagna with the setup. Stack's got a sider. Stack's kick 3. What a gun!
Richmond's class came to the fore when it mattered in the third term, forcing the Saints into errors and capitalising themselves.
It's going to be tough for Carlisle. Oh, he played on straight away, Dusty. Oh, he's chipped the kick to Lynch. Oh, can't miss that one. Prestia, look at the kick. Oh, bootlaces at Martin. He runs into Patton. It took 2 to stop him. Graham pushed it forward. That's the Richmond way. Forward to goal. And Rioli has the honour.
A run of 6 goals straight, helping them take a 14-point lead into the final quarter.
God, he can just grab it and kick a goal. It's going to be one of the easiest goals you have ever seen. Tigers are running on top of the ground late. McIntosh. Advantage paid and taken by Graham. Racks up another goal for Richmond.
Led by a dominant midfield in Dustin Martin, Dion Prestia and Kane Lambert, the Tigers extended the lead in the last to run out comfortable 33-point winners. It was a trip north to Metricon Stadium in round 16 to tackle the Gold Coast Suns. And from the opening bounce, it was one-way traffic, with former Sun skipper Tom Lynch taking a contested mark and converting.
119 goals here at Metricon, and you can add another. No surprise that he's kicked the first goal of the afternoon.
The Tigers kicked 5 goals in the opening 10 minutes, 9 in the first quarter and 16 in the first half, on the way to a 92-point victory.
Was Graham to tee up Koch, and he fancies his chances here, and he rides it home. Lynch the target, up he goes, brought it down to ground level deliberately, and Sydney Stack is the beneficiary.
Richmond was simply too quick and constantly found space through the likes of Trent Cotchin, Dion Prestia and Shai Bolton.
50s at will, and they worked it out. They're going to roll in and kick another one. He almost ran too far, Bolton.
Jason Castagna kicked 3 of his 5 goals in the first term, and Kane Lambert all 3 of his in the second.
Term now, Martin trying to tee up a teammate. What a gift it was.
With a host of games at the MCG to come, the Tigers were ominously poised in 6th position on the ladder.
So 3 straight losses sent the Tigers crashing out of the top 4 and clinging to a spot inside the top 8, but then a couple of important wins over the battling Saints and Suns helped stabilise the situation. So Bash, 3 heavy losses heading into the bye. The old truism, you learn more from your losses than you do from your wins. What did you guys learn about the group during that little mini slump?
Yeah, I think the general feel around the club was pretty positive, and Dimma was all about positivity, and you knew that our system will take care of itself, providing that we continue to believe in each other, believe in the system. So that was that was great from our perspective. Having a head coach, put continuous belief in you, and know that if you stick to a structure and the way we play, no doubt once we get a few players back, we'll bounce back and head back on the road of glory.
Dion, Damien always seems so even-keeled and measured when we see him speak publicly. Does his demeanour change at all depending on how the team's going, up or down?
No, not at all. I think he reads the group really, really well. I know there was a couple of times during the year we'd all be sitting there in review, and he would just be like, all right, get out, you know what to do. And we wouldn't even have a review, or would kind of cut down a meeting a bit differently to normal, just because he kind of felt the group didn't need that at the time. So I'm sure he goes off in the box like every other coach does, but as soon as he comes down to ground level, it's really calm, always focusing on the process and what's going to happen next instead of what's happening. And I think the players respond to it really well, and we've all brought into that as well. And that's, I think, why you always see us having fun and just embracing that everyone's not going to be perfect. And we all get drafted and picked up because we're good footballers, and he always reminds us of why we're so good, and it gives you a lot of confidence going into games and throughout the week.
Do the coaching panel, Bash, mix things up a little bit? Because you can get into sort of the dark days of winter, can't you? In the middle of the year it becomes a bit monotonous, and if things aren't going that well and there's some injuries, it's important sometimes to just mix things up a little bit, shake things up amongst the group.
Yeah, I think previously, we've had fallen into that area a little bit where we start to, the coaches do start throwing players in different positions just to spice things up or change things up and hopefully get a spike. But, I don't know about Dion, but there are a few players that, when they move into different positions, they can be a little bit shell-shocked with it. So, we're all meant to know the game plan, but there's all different structures in different groups. So I think Dimma, towards the second part of the season, just, stuck by the process and about our game plan. Just believe in our players. And, there's going to be times where you're not going to be performing as well, but providing that you continue to believe in yourself, you'll be fine. And sometimes it's probably not your day, but it could be your moment that you can do in the game that can change the game around.
Chemistry is one of the great intangibles in footy, isn't it, Dion? And part of chemistry is knowing what motivates or demotivates your teammates, and if you're a coach, your players underneath you. And it's just being able to press the right buttons at the right time, isn't it, to get the best out of everyone?
Yeah, obviously everyone knows that we're pretty close as a unit, and I think it kind of, if you cut it down into the backs, mids and the forwards, you look at the backs and they're so tight around the group. They go off camping during the pre-season. Bash will probably talk more about that in his cooking, but yeah, I think it's just because you're around him so much, and obviously you have to have that pretty good connection on the field. You just learn kind of how you can talk to each other during games. If you can, I don't know, give a bit more to certain players and how you can take it as well. But yeah, we have so much fun at the club. Like I remember, usually every Monday we like have games of cricket out on the field or in the sports hall and things like that. Like it's just a really enjoyable environment to be in.
And up forward, it was a very different looking attack. New faces. It was, you kicked the ton for the first time in 6 games in round 15, and it was 4 goals to Stack, 3 to Chol, 3 to Lynch, Shai Bolton with a goal as well. 11 of your 16 goals from guys who weren't in the picture last September, Bash. Again, it was that change of dynamic and guys just stepping up and taking their opportunities.
Yeah, you're right, taking their opportunities, and you know, their great preparation throughout the VFL. Prepared them well for AFL football. You know, we're a football club based on belief. You know, put belief in every player, and you know, Dimmer's all about that. He doesn't just put you in the deep end and let you out or leave you out to dry, but rather he tells you and he reminds you how good of a player you really are. And you know, obviously the consistent form that you're going at VFL level, just bring that in. The pressure does step up a little bit, but just always remember that we bring you in based on your strengths. So if it's kicking goals, kick those goals. It doesn't matter where you're playing. If it's pressure, you know, follow through with that. So, you know, Damien's got a great philosophy and is all about playing your strengths.
Who's the most extroverted of all those first year players?
Oh, extroverted. Noah Bolt is a fair character. Everyone says he's a young Alex France. So yeah, they're all pretty different. Shay's really quiet, but I guess he kind of expresses himself with his little earrings and got a few tattoos over the last couple of years. So
Sydney Stack, what do you reckon, Sydney Stack?
Yeah, Sydney's he's an absolutely amazing character. I remember when he did the war cry against Essendon with the other kids in front of us. I remember when we were doing like our rehearsals the day before, and he was actually out there dancing. I just like couldn't believe it. And it's just him, and yeah, we absolutely loved it. And for him to be confident enough to do that in his first year, and I think it was only a couple of games in at that stage. It was, yeah, it's just how we just accept everyone, and no matter what they're feeling or what they want to do, we'll support.
I remember at pre-season camp, I was sitting right at the front, and I generally sit at the front, but Sydney Stack seen me alone, sitting down, quiet, and he walked over to me. And you know, for an 18 or 19-year-old to walk over to a 35, probably the oldest on the list at the time, maybe me and Grigor at the time, but to sit down right beside me and to open up, and you know, it was very, very courageous by him. And he hit me right on the head with, he said, I find you always sitting by yourself. Why is that? I said, oh, okay. Like, I actually didn't know how to respond. I said, no, I'm generally a quiet person. I'm pretty serious, and there's times where you know you can lay low a little bit. So he said, yeah, but I realise when you talk, you're a man of a few words, but very powerful. So that was a great opportunity from a young man, and very, very courageous. And from then, I think we developed a fantastic relationship. You know, we spoke about life, about my values, his values, very different. You know, different ends of the table. But that was great to bring in a player that to join in on the system and our way of life was very, very special, and to build relationships. You know, he was a guy that was ready to build relationships with all the players at 18 years old. Whereas, you know, it's very tough sometimes to get an 18-year-old to walk in and, you know, get thrown in deep and expect to get along with a 31-year-old. But Sydney Stack was very, very exceptional in that field, and I took him under my wing and showed him a few things, and he showed me definitely a few of his tricks as well on field as well. So it was a great, a great opportunity to learn a little bit about Sydney's background and the way he goes about football, which is very, very different to myself.
So those back-to-back wins over St Kilda and the Gold Coast had the Tigers entering round 17 delicately poised. Just one game off the top 4, but also just one game inside the top 8. The race for the finals promised to be a tight one as we check out the highlights of Richmond's run home to September.
Richmond faced GWS in wet and slippery conditions at the MCG in round 17. And the Tigers started the better, keeping the Giants goalless and booting 4 of their own in the first term.
The old 1-2, Riewoldt gives it back to him. Turns back, nice front step, heads toward goal, kicks one of the goals of the year. Martin wants it forward. He's got the one-on-one, he goes to Riewoldt instead. He plays on, opens it up. Welcome back, Jack.
The Giants booted 4 goals to 2 in the second quarter and had the momentum early in the third. But 4 late majors to the Tigers, including 2 to Kane Lambert, gave Richmond a 30-point lead at the last change.
And that's against the run of play.
From there, the Tigers never looked back. Lambert's third goal sealing a 27-point win at the G.
There he is, the everywhere man. Freakish.
Shai Bolton was a standout for the Victors, earning himself a Rising Star nomination. Richmond hosted Port Adelaide in round 18 and had all the running early.
Told strides away and puts it out in front, right on the chest of Lynch. A 55-metre drop putt is on its way. It's gone to the line and beyond. He's going to work now. Rioli tried to get through. Give it to Dusty and Martin.
Jack Riewoldt slotted 3 first-half goals to help the Tigers establish a 23-point buffer at the main break.
He's back into the swing of it at the MCG, Jack Riewoldt.
Each time Port Adelaide applied pressure, Richmond found another gear. Dylan Grimes and David Astbury were impenetrable down back.
It's sitting there for Dixon if he can release the handball. And Dusty goes, and when he goes, he's hard to stop.
While Dustin Martin provided plenty of opportunities for his big forwards, who didn't disappoint. Momentum was building, the 38-point win making it 4 in a row for the Tigers. Awaiting Richmond in round 19 was traditional rival Collingwood. Despite conceding the opening goal, the Tigers took control of the contest.
Martin and Pendlebury, what a match up there. Cotchin. Opportunity, here he is, running loose, gets within range. Dusty gets the first for them.
They kicked 9 unanswered, with Tom Lynch leading from the front on his way to 5 majors for the match.
Kicks to 50-50, Riewoldt. Oh, gave it back to Tom as he kicked his ball. Oh, they're going to love that. The Tiger Army are going to go into raptures.
After setting up the win, Richmond was never threatened. With Dustin Martin doing as he liked through the middle of the ground,
Got his second of the night here, Dusty.
the Tigers cruised to a 32-point win, sending an ominous warning sign to the rest of the competition. On a slippery MCG, Richmond took on Melbourne in round 20. Early on, inaccuracy plagued the Tigers, while a second bottom place Melbourne was offering plenty of resistance. The game took a familiar feel in the second quarter when Richmond got on top to lead by 14 points.
Butler. No one went for it in the end. It was only Rioli got it to Lynch. And Lynch has kicked another one.
But the margin was cut to just 3 early in the third quarter before some Ivan Soldo brilliance ignited the Tigers.
Soldo has gone Cristiano Ronaldo style and he loved it.
5 goals to 1 for the term, putting the game beyond reach for the Demons. With Dustin Martin again best of field and Tom Lynch adding 3 goals, Richmond cruised to its 6th consecutive win to solidify its spot in the top 4.
A Dusty special.
The Tigers celebrated Shane Edwards' 250th game and Dion Prestia's 150th against Carlton in round 21. In the absence of Trent Cotchin and Dustin Martin, the Milestone men were brilliant in wet conditions as Prestia gathered 35 disposals and Edwards dominated in the midfield and across half-back. Tough on baller Jack Graham kicked 4 goals straight.
Graham, body strength to stand up and goal. Time for a fumble. Thinks about the give. Graham again, through traffic, snaps and goals. Off to Rioli. Handball's off. Graham's got 4.
Nick Ross returned to the side from an ankle injury to quell Blue Star Patrick Cripps.
He put himself under pressure, got it to Cripps. He couldn't control it.
Despite holding a comfortable lead throughout the contest, late goals from Josh Caddy and Jason Castagna pushed the final margin out to 28 points.
After the siren, the margin's 28.
In one of the games of the season, the Tigers cemented a top 4 spot with a heart-stopping win over the West Coast Eagles.
He gets it at no 15. Ellis with a little handball across. Here they go, the Tigers. They need a goal. Do they get one? Yes, they do.
Richmond found itself 5 goals down in the first quarter and spent the remainder of the contest fighting its way back.
Lining up for goals. No, the handball inside to Bolton is a good one. Castagna kept running. Around the body it goes. Gets the good bounce. Gets the magnificent bounce. And it's a goal.
Dustin Martin was outstanding with 35 disposals and a goal.
There's plenty of Tigers forward. Martin, how did he get there? That's how he got it, because he's a superstar and kicks the goal.
While Basher Hooley and Dion Prestia also stood up for the Tigers. Dylan Grimes sent a scare through the Richmond camp in the third quarter when he landed awkwardly, injuring his ankle. But he returned in the fourth as the Tigers surged towards an unlikely victory.
Bolton kicks to the goal square. Revolt is there. He's got it. He's flicked it over the back. Lynch kicks a goal. Lynch kicks a goal for the Tigers.
Jack Revolt's last gasp snap proved the match winner.
They didn't concede the behind, and now they concede a goal. Revolt! Tigers by 6.
Richmond secured third spot and a double chance in September with a comfortable 27-point win over Brisbane at the MCG in round 23. Jack Revolt started the game on fire, kicking 4 first-quarter goals.
So Jack Revolt for 2 in a minute. 35 metres out, a little bit of left to right in his kick back. Emerson. Tigers have kicked 4 in a row.
Dylan Grimes was in stellar form, keeping Charlie Cameron goalless, and Basher Hooley was influential with 30 disposals.
Hooks it back, Hooley.
Dustin Martin provided the highlight of the match with a brilliant running goal early in the final term to put the win beyond doubt.
Great strength, Dustin Martin, and the Richmond into the ground. How good is Dustin Martin?
It set up a qualifying final against the Lions at the Gabba for week 1 of September.
Well, it certainly turned out to be a thrilling race for the top 4. Richmond clicking into gear to win 9 straight after the bye and storm home to secure third spot and that all-important double chance. Dion, you had gun players returning in the back half of the season, but the team's run of form seemed to be driven by more than that. What was it that really clicked after the bye?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to just put it on one thing, but I think we just believed in what was happening all year and what was about to happen. So we played some really good teams in that back end of that season. Even teams like Melbourne, their ladder position was low, but they were playing some really good footy against some really good teams. So I think that really probably clicked us into gear, and we had a lot of things to improve as well. I remember going into games and just feeling we would win, but it just didn't feel like we won like how Richmond should. So I guess that kind of gave us belief that we still had a lot of improvement left in us.
Bash, some wins are worth more than others, and particularly the high-stakes ones over Collingwood and West Coast and Brisbane. That West Coast one where you had to come from 5 down early. What do those wins mean to the group?
Yeah, I mean, it's always great beating those teams that are high on the ladder, and you know you want to play those sort of teams towards the back end of the year, just to really put you in good stead for the finals football. And I think the way we played our last 4 or 5 weeks was quite quite special. Particularly the West Coast game coming from behind, I think 5 or 6 goals, I think it was, and the belief that we had coming after half time, and sticking to the process, and even when the game was very close towards the end, just believing in each other, and believing that if our effort and intent was there, that we'll get over the line. And obviously the round 23 game against Brisbane was one that was going to really put us in good stead for finals, and we played really well. And Dion mentioned before that we still felt like we hadn't played our best football. So it was very, very exciting leading into finals football.
And on a personal level, congratulations to you on your first All-Australian selection. What did it mean to you to be elevated into that elite company alongside some superstars of the game?
Yeah, you're right. You hit the nail on the head saying, by saying superstars, and I definitely don't classify myself as a superstar, but standing against guys like Fife and Dangerfield, Kelly, these guys are elite players of the competition. For me to be standing next to them was a complete honour, and extremely humbled by it, because it's something that you don't set yourself a goal. And I mean, that wasn't definitely my goal. It was about just playing as many games, and more importantly, putting a smile on your face every opportunity you get. And as a result, to be rewarded with that sort of reward was, I'm extremely humbled by it.
9 straight wins, unusual situation. You played Brisbane in the final round, then you're going to get them again in the finals 2 weeks later. What were the focuses? What did you learn from that round 23 win as you prepared for the finals?
What I can remember going into, I guess, the 3-week period was Brisbane played a little bit different to, the other teams now, and they played real skinny. So I guess we found it pretty difficult in round 23 just managing their ball movement, because a lot of teams want to obviously use the corridor and go around teams, but Brisbane were happy just to go along the boundary line. So I remember, the week off and then the week leading into the game at the Gabba, we tweaked a couple of things just around our setup and the way that we defend them, and I'm pretty sure it worked up in the qualifying final. But that's probably the main thing that I remember that we kind of tweaked or talked about.
Well, the Gabba was rocking on the Saturday night of week 1 of the finals. More than 37,000 fans on hand to see whether the Lions could turn the tables or whether the Tigers would repeat the dose. Let's check out the highlights of the qualifying final.
Richmond headed to Brisbane for the second qualifying final. The Lions were competitive in the first quarter, but inaccurate goal kicking from the home side meant the Tigers were only down by 12 points at the first break. Then Richmond hit the accelerator, kicking 9 unanswered goals in the second and third terms to put the game beyond reach.
And Rioli, genius!
Rich, it's broken up. Prestia, here comes another one. Bolton walks in. Gets over the top of Hodge. Revol just slaps it forward and bounces out of the chest of Adams. This is the surge in Richmond. Rioli, he's got Bolton for company. Bolton lays a very, very nice shepherd, and Rioli will go all the way.
Dylan Grimes again won the day against Charlie Cameron.
Again Grimes. How good's he been?
Restricting the dangerous forward to just 1 goal and dropping into space to take crucial intercept marks.
Oh, this man's hands are beautiful.
Reliable contributors Dion Prestia and Shane Edwards were among the Tigers' best, but it was Dustin Martin who tore the game apart, kicking 6 goals in a dominant display.
Goes quickly, top of the square, 1 out, Dusty. Here comes Dusty on the left. He's got 4.
The Lions had no answers for the superstar, who seemed to be toying with his opponents by the end of the game, as the Tigers ran out 47-point winners.
Revol front and centre. Dusty lost his footing, threw it back out. It was a dead set throw, and Revol's got the goal anyway.
The victory setting up a 3rd consecutive preliminary final at the MCG for Richmond.
So a powerful performance from the Tigers saw them safely through to another preliminary final. And while the marks and the goals get all the attention in the highlights packages, it's the relentless pressure that is the trademark of this Richmond group. And Basher, it was really there against Brisbane that night. Rioli, Graham, Edwards, Lambert, Bolton. The man next to you had 10 tackles. The ferocity was really there.
Yeah, it was, and that's for finals football. It's built upon contested football. Every tackle, every spoil, every smother. It goes a long way to getting the ball forward. And looking at the highlights, it wasn't pretty as such. There was a lot of tap-ons, and that's the great thing about a football club. You know, it's not about pretty possessions, pretty game plans. It's all about getting the ball forward, putting the pressure, you know, having the right intensity, and you know, it goes a long way to winning games. And you know, you're seeing guys, you know, in the midfield. Our midfield was sensational that day, and you know, I felt like at times after probably quarter time the ball didn't go down back at all, and you know, us backline players were, you know, urging for the ball to go back just to get in the feel of the game. But you know, our midfielders and forward put some tremendous pressure, and you know, starting from this great man right here.
Dion, we mentioned that it felt like you guys weren't quite firing on all cylinders coming into the finals. Did that one feel better? Did that feel like you were up and purring?
Definitely after the first quarter it did. We were under the pump in that first quarter. I think they had over 20 inside 50s, which is really ridiculous again for Richmond to give up that many. But I think everything started to click once, I guess, everything settled. The excitement of the first quarter. Brisbane obviously would have been ready to go all week, playing in front of their home fans in a packed stadium. So we knew if we could just, I guess, weather the storm in that first quarter and not give up too much of a lead, then we'll be able to peg them back. And I think that's really been our good players really started to stand up after I guess the dust settled.
So after a week off to freshen up, it was a preliminary final appointment with minor premiers Geelong. And Basher, the public discussion centred around whether Richmond would be revisited by the ghost of last year's preliminary final. What was the feeling amongst the group leading into the prelim this year?
Yeah, I mean, in our four walls it was pretty calm. A lot of work was done pre the game from a mindset perspective. I think every player at the football club has got a system that works for them from a mental perspective. Obviously, from a physical perspective, you go out, you train, and you prepare really well. But from a mental perspective, you know, we've got Emma Murray who does a fantastic work at a football club that prepares us in the best possible way. For us to execute, our game plan, our individual performance. You got to be really switched on upstairs, and the reality is, you know, you're going to be haunted at times by previous moments, or even just moments in the present where, you know, things don't go your way. But it's about preparing how to bounce out of that situation back into, you know, the player that makes you a great player. So a lot of work was done pre that game, and you know, we were tested. We were tested with multiple goals from Geelong, put a lot of pressure on, and I remember at times seeing the pressure of Geelong was pretty special, and I thought to myself at one time, oh no, not again. I did definitely have that feeling leading into that halftime break, and the vibe was still good. I mean, I remember at the time Dimmer's message was it was all about, you know, pegging our way back into the contest. It's not about don't go out guns blazing, and you know, you've got 20 minutes to win the game. It was all about trying to get back within, you know, 1 or 2 goals at 3/4 time, putting you in a good place to pounce and hopefully come back. And but for us, you know, it happened really quick. We believed in the system, we believed in each other, and most importantly, I remember we walked out on the ground with a big smile on our face, and you know, realised that, you know, this is a great moment. Don't let this slip by not enjoying the moment. Whatever happens at the end of the night happens, but providing, you know, you enjoy the moment and and bring effort and intent, which is the most important 2 things.
Well, it was a gripping game with plenty of twists and turns in the tale. Let's check out the highlights of the preliminary final.
The Tigers met minor premiers the Cats in the second preliminary final at the MCG. Dustin Martin received a knock to his leg, which looked to hamper him early, and Jack Graham showed enormous courage to fight on after dislocating his shoulder in the first term.
But Graham is in all sorts of trouble.
Big trouble with the right shoulder, BT.
Geelong capitalised, taking control of the first half. And with a 21-point deficit, Richmond looked to be in danger of falling at the penultimate hurdle for the second year running.
Ablett didn't have eyes on the footy there, Broad. Went and got an Ablett, took him on. He has to be gone, he is.
But the Tigers came out strongly in the premiership quarter, piling on 5 straight goals, thanks to an impressive display from Tom Lynch in the forward 50.
What have the Tigers got? Remember the Cats, they only concede on average 66 points a game this year.
Holding the ball advantage.
They are a tight defence, and Richmond are trying to smash through that. Prestia to Lynch, and they're as strong a dukes as you can possibly ask. A 30-metre kick for Lynch. Looks good, doesn't it?
He kicked 5 goals for the night, had 12 score involvements and took 4 contested marks.
Lynch will mark it. He was always going to mark it. This for 5. Got it. 5 goals in a preliminary final.
Lynch was ably assisted through the midfield by Dion Prestia.
Look at Prestia. The human meatball goes long. Lynch got position again. Off hands. He's kicked 2. Richmond have got 3 in a row.
While Basher Hooley amassed 32 disposals off half-back.
Hooley, wonderful mark. He has just got better and better as this match has gone on. 21 points down at half-time. They pick themselves up, the Tigers, and they get to a second grand final in 3 seasons.
The two men next to me, both very influential in what turned out to be a fantastic, hard-fought win. But Dion, things didn't go perfectly to plan early. Some injury concerns. The Cats led by 21 points at half-time. What was the mood and the messaging in the rooms at half-time?
Yeah, it was definitely a weird feeling in the rooms. For myself, I probably thought they were all done.
Really?
It was probably really thinking like, oh no, here we go again. You know, Geelong were on top of us. Really dominating the game, and I walked in probably thinking, oh, like, here we go again. Like, we're gonna lose another prelim. But I was just kind of hoping would come out and probably jump them as quick as possible in that third quarter, and just hoping that everyone else was on. So I guess it wasn't great thoughts to have at half time, but I don't think I was alone in I guess that thought process.
Yeah, you definitely weren't alone, and I was another one who did think that the game could be over,
Is that the scars of the previous year coming back?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Definitely, I'm obviously feeling it the year before. I think Collingwood were a little bit further ahead that game, but the mood was a bit dull. There wasn't much said. I mean, when we go into the rooms, we have a few minutes to ourselves, then we group into our lines, and I remember there wasn't as much said in my group, and when we went into the main room with Dimmer, he was all about trying to peg the game back. Yeah. Just nice and slow.
Back to 2017, I remember he said as well. It was a lot of, I guess, rolling back defensively, and he was just like, bring back your 2017. Let's just come forward at every single point. And we saw that tackle Koch laid on Stanley in, I think, the first 5 seconds, I guess, of the quarter set us up for the rest of the game. I remember that clearly. Dimmer just saying, let's go back, get that feeling of 2017 back, and let's just hunt.
And that was the true test of this whole season, wasn't it? That moment there at half-time, and the test of whether the group's maturity and development had come on from 12 months earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, the mood wasn't great at half-time, but I think it was all about a moment that we were waiting for a player to step up, and there was none better than Trent Cotchin with that first tackle on Stanley. He really set the scene. I think when you've got your skipper putting that sort of effort, it sets the mark for everyone else, and the momentum started building there. I think we kicked 2 or 3 quick goals, and the game was very, very tight leading into the last quarter, and there was a quarter of it was a battle, and to see who can get the first or second goal, first 1 or 2 goals. But we grew belief, and thank God it was a skipper who set the scene in the third quarter.
Dion, in many ways, Tom Lynch was living the story you lived in 2017, coming from the Gold Coast, a team that hadn't had a lot of wins, to play on the big stage, and that night proved to be his moment. It was the reason you recruited him. It was the reason he came. 5 goals. He blossomed on the big stage of September. What a thrill, not only for him, but for the rest of the team as well.
Yeah, I guess the big stage is one that Tom probably prides himself. He had an amazing year, but his prelim was really amazing to step up and kick 5 goals. And I think Jack was probably a little bit more quieter that game. I think that's probably what he really prided himself in. I think we kept need to keep training for Gold Coast players because every time we trade for one, we win one. So I think we've got a couple of weeks left to get one in.
Bash, the downside of the prelim, of course, was Jack Graham dislocated his shoulder, yet he played on despite dislocating it 5 times during the game. What an unbelievably selfless and courageous effort that was.
Yeah, it was, and I'll be honest, I didn't actually remember the time he did this, but what I did remember was the message from Dimma post-game saying that it's going to be an amazing story, amazing chapter of our history of this great football club. Jack Graham, putting himself aside and really battling for the majority of the game and really helped us win the game. It's quite hard going to games or playing majority of the games with 1 or 2 guys less on the football field, but for him to put his hand up and say, "Yep, I'm going to battle on. I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to do everything I possibly can to contribute, whether it's small, large, whatever it is." But definitely, he's a massive chapter of our history. And for him to play that selfless role, particularly in that second half, was sensational and definitely helped us get the win.
At what point of the week did you find out he definitely wasn't playing, and what was that like for the rest of the group?
I think we found out on Thursday. So he trained normal. So we had a training session on Tuesday, a lighter session, non-contact, and he did everything right. I remember asking him, like, how do you feel? He's like, I actually feel way better than what I think. And then we had the Wednesday off, and I think Thursday afternoon is when he found out that they weren't going to risk him in the grand final. And I guess we found out during that afternoon.
Bash, the build-up to your second grand final in 3 years, how did the build-up compare internally for you guys the second time around?
I think it was more relaxed, to be quite honest. I mean, 2017 was a great story. Obviously, the year before where we finished on the ladder, and for us to bounce back and to create a great culture at the football club and to get to where we were. The message from Dimma was all about enjoying the moment, enjoying the week, and everything that comes with it. So for the majority of the playing list, we had already played in the grand final, so we were well prepared. And once again, Dimma did say to us post Geelong game to enjoy the moment, enjoy the week, and everything that belongs with it. From training, from the atmosphere, from the sun that pops out in September to grand final parade, just enjoy every moment, because the reality is it could probably never happen again. He did say that in 2017, and thank God it happened again. So hopefully there's another one. You reckon I'm pretty greedy right there? But look, it's a great feeling, and I remember just the message was just enjoy every single moment.
So the big question, of course, was who would come in for Jack Graham once it was announced that he wasn't going to be playing, and it turned out to be the fairy tale of Marlon Pickett on debut. What an incredible story. Tell us a little bit about his journey in such a short time at Tigerland.
So obviously getting him in the pre-season draft, and he had that broken finger and he had this surgery. So he was pretty similar to Lynchy when he came to the club. He was in rehab for a long time, and he played in the VFL Grand Final, which was the Sunday before the AFL one, and got best on ground in that game. And you can just tell he's just a natural footballer. He can win his own ball, quick, moves well, real smooth, and that's really off not playing any football at all this year. So it's going to be amazing to see what he can do off a whole AFL pre-season, and it's pretty much just having a new player for next year.
Marlon Pickett was in, the stage was set, all the pieces were in place. It would be Richmond facing GWS to decide the 2019 AFL Premiership.
Blue skies greeted more than 100,000 fans jammed into the MCG for a grand final many expected to be one for the ages. The GWS Giants had become renowned for their pressure throughout September, but early on it was the Tigers who hunted in packs, chasing and tackling relentlessly.
What a tackle! He took them on and never really got away with it. Actually, he put the ball under pressure. He has to clean it up now, sure. Centre, this is about as far as they've got. They have, so can they manage it? Another great tackle. Tito was slick, but in the end, it comes undone. Once again, Hurley the tackler. Once again, a free kick.
The only problem was they couldn't take advantage of their dominance on the scoreboard. Giant big man Jeremy Cameron flushed a shot from beyond 50 metres for the game's first goal, and all of a sudden the Tigers needed a spark. Enter Dustin Martin.
Players, Jack wants to go. Lynch is free. Martin's there as well.
Dusty loves to run around, he is.
And he does. And the Tigers do too. A goal apiece in the first.
The momentum from Daniel Rioli's bomb on the buzzer carried Richmond into the break and beyond.
Here he is, Pickett, really starting to come into the game a little bit now. Kick was a little bit sloppy to centre half forward out the back door. Rioli, there's time. 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a goal. Right under fire. He's got it. Solo to Pickett. Oh, what about that? A full 360 in slow motion. Just down your marks. Wonderful play out of the middle.
The Giants were held goalless for the entire second quarter as a disaster unfolded in front of them.
He didn't want the body contact. He kept the body free. The pickup's unbelievable. That's the play of the game. That is the play of the game.
And if they thought the main change would end the nightmare, they were wrong. Tom Lynch, Martin and debutant Marlon Pickett continued to heap more pain on the Giants.
All eyes were on Lynch on that occasion. Picked up by Rioli. Creative handball to Martin. Martin snap around the goal. Got it. Got his third, Dusty. Forget about the scores. That don't matter. A debutant about to put the dagger in the heart on grand final day. Marlon Pickett lines up.
And the party continued in the last term, with Trent Cotchin's goal generating arguably the biggest cheer of the afternoon.
Rioli's kicked to Cotchin to beauty, and the skipper goes and then tries to lace it out, but no, he doesn't. He kicks the goal.
The final siren mirrored that joy, sparking yet more wild scenes of Richmond celebrations.
A second to go. The Tigers are premiers for the 12th time in their history.
Martin was once again sublime, collecting his second Norm Smith medal. Jack Riewoldt and Tom Lynch combined for 7 goals, while Basher Hooley and Dion Prestia were at their prolific best. Then there was the grand final debutant, Marlon Pickett. 1 game, 1 goal, 1 flag. Before 2017, Richmond had waited a long 37 years for premiership success. Now it has 2 flags in 3 seasons.
What a performance from Richmond, completely dominant on their way to an 89-point win, the 3rd biggest margin in grand final history. But Dion, the first quarter was tight. In fact, GWS had the better of it for most of the first quarter until Dusty kicked that goal with a minute to play and then Daniel kicked the goal right on the siren. What did you make of the first quarter and how important were those 2 goals late?
Yeah, I guess probably like any grand final, the first 5-10 minutes was just so intense, high pressure. I remember the first 10 minutes just going so quickly and looking up at the time and just thinking like, wow, that was just an absolute blur. But I felt like we were in control of most of that quarter, but we just couldn't capitalise. And I remember Jeremy Cameron kicking one from about 55 on the flank and just thinking like, we've been in absolute control of this game, but they just kicked that 1 goal and the momentum swung to them. So even though I think we didn't kick a goal until a minute or 2 to go in that first quarter, I still felt like we were in control and our pressure was right up there like we wanted it to be.
Bash, you guys did get control of the game a little bit in the second quarter and you led by 35 points at half-time. Take us through your personal half-time and what you got up to at half-time.
Half-time. So I always plan pre-game, and obviously being a practicing Muslim, I pray 5 times a day, and I've had many other games where I've prayed at half-time, but for that moment I prayed at half-time. It was the middle prayer, and I think it was Daisy who walked past.
Daisy Pearce, yeah.
Daisy Pearce. So I actually didn't recognise or realise that anyone was there at the time until after the game. We had we had a chat, and I was there, and she asked me if I was praying for success. I said no, it was just part of my daily prayers, but and also asking for some success, which is very important as well. So I just go about my business, and the great thing is about our football club is we or the coaches really allow me to be the person I am. Obviously. Football is very important, but my values are very important to me as well.
You go from the hurly-burly of a grand final, 100,000 people. Is it difficult for you to switch your mindsets just for a couple of minutes? Suddenly you're into prayer mode, and then you've got to get back into footy mode.
Yeah, it's especially when your body's really heated, and like you said, it's 100,000 people watching the game. It's probably the biggest stage it is the biggest stage of the year. Quite easy. I could shy away from that prayer, but for me that is my greatest asset, the connection that I have with God, and it helps me to be the person I am, and it also helps me to be the player I am as well, who's got complete gratitude for the opportunity that I have playing this great game and being part of a great system at Richmond Football Club.
Dustin Martin became just the 4th player in history to win 2 Norm Smith medals. What makes him so good?
He's just an absolute freak. I think it's his competitiveness. He just hates losing anything. If it's cricket in the gym during the week, or if it's one-on-one in the goal square, he just hates losing. And I would hate to be an opposition player playing against him. So he can do it in the midfield. He can do it up forward. So I think just having that ability to go midfield if it's not working, or forward if it's not working, it's just massive strength of his.
What don't we know about Dusty Basher? What might surprise us for those of us who don't know him? Obviously, a lot's written about him and spoken about him. Is he the person that we all see on the outside, or is there something different about him that would surprise us?
Look, I can guarantee you one thing: he probably won't know how to play down back as well as he does in the midfield and the forward. But look, Dustin is a unique character, and he's one that if you walk into the football club, you'll kind of feel a little bit that I can't really fit in with that sort of personnel. But once you get to know Dustin Martin, you'll naturally fall in love with the way he goes about things, his professionalism, his maturity when he talks as well. It's grown a hell of a lot, particularly me being involved with him for 10 years. Watching him grow as a person off field, it's a credit to him. It's a credit to the people around him that really care for him and truly love him. So he's a lovable person. As much as he's a giant, but he's very humble and he's very, very friendly.
Dion, the man sitting next to you has established himself as a big game player as well, hasn't he? A second in the Norm Smith medal for the second time to Dusty. He's stepped up on the big stage twice for the Tigers.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Dusty, we could have been talking about Bash having 2 Norm Smiths. But Bash is just an amazing player. You never see him stop running. It's just amazing that at his age that he can get on top of the ground and outrun pretty much anyone in the comp. But we just love Basher. As you say, what you see is what you get. He's just so genuine, and everyone just loves Basher. And for me, I look up to Basher, just the way he's with his family and he's passionate as well. So he's just awesome teammate.
And Marlon Pickett, 3rd in the Norm Smith medal on debut. It was the first time you got to actually play with him. What did you notice about him up close?
He was pretty relaxed. Even in the parade or pre-game, he was kind of just like he knew what to do, and he knew what was going to happen in the next couple of hours. But he's just such a smooth mover. I guess you kind of watch him run out of packs in the grand final, and I was absolutely buggered out the back. And it's just gives you amazing belief of and confidence of what he's going to do next year with the whole pre-season, and everyone getting to know him a lot more. And it's going to be a hell of a season next year.
And when he kicked that goal, Basher, the roar around the MCG was something like we very rarely hear. Was it one of those moments where it just genuinely feels like you're back playing footy with your mates? Every Richmond player ran towards him, and is it one of those moments when footy's just fun?
It was a special moment. I remember, that moment there where it's very hard with these new rules of trying to get to the first goal kicker to congratulate him. But that was a moment where you were willing to give a goal away to go and congratulate a great man who who comes from I can't wait till his story comes out. Personally, I don't know as much because it's one of those sort of things that you need to take time to really dig deep and get to know him on a very, very personal level. But it was a very, very special moment, and honestly, I can't really explain it as well. But what I do remember is the calmness of the individual leading up to the grand final. I remember asking the question on Thursday, Marlon, you reckon a chance to play? He goes, look, whatever it is. I'm very well prepared. I've really enjoyed this moment. And, the sign of gratitude was there. And he said that whatever happens, happens. I'm just prepared for next year and I can't wait for the pre-season. So it's a great man, it's a sign of a man who, wants to really establish himself over the next, 5 or 6 years that he has at AFL level, hopefully more as well.
And Dion, all the talk about Lynch and Riewoldt, will it work together? Well, 26 touches, 15 marks and 7 goals between them on the biggest stage. I think that puts that to bed.
Oh, yeah. We got 2 absolutely amazing key forwards in our team. And the way that they performed on grand final day was absolutely awesome. And GWS might have had a few players that had a few niggles here and there, and that those 2 boys really took full advantage of it. They're pretty close, share the same birthday. I'm pretty sure coming up as well. So just that connection. Hopefully, next year they can build even stronger.
Bash, what did it feel like the second time around compared to 2017?
Yeah, I'm still trying to, soak it all in, to be quite honest. And, the difference between 17 and 19, 17 was a moment where, it was all about enjoying the moment. And, if we get up, hopefully we get up, as opposed to this one. Tasting success in 2017 definitely helped 2019. In a mindset of, I really want to win another one. Whereas 17 was just, whatever happens, happens. We're just so grateful for being, there at the final week of September. But this one, there was obviously, more expectations. We've tasted success and, it felt great. But, there is, a saying or a motto out there, is that nothing's as good as the first one. And I remember having my first daughter, it was far greater than having the second, even though I do.
I hope your second daughter's not watching this.
Although I do truly love my second. She's more attached to me. But definitely, it's a great feeling. But I think I'll reflect more upon it moving forward. It has been a very, very exhausting year, and talking to Dion earlier, we're very, very exhausted. It's been a long year, a hard year on our bodies as well. So I think later on in our careers, we'll really reflect and realise, what we've achieved is very, very special. And, the great thing is we're truly humbled by it.
And then there's the great waves of celebration. There's the big public celebration, which you do out on the ground with all these amazing Richmond fans. And then there's the private celebration just amongst yourselves. Let's start with the public one. What do these people mean to you, Dion?
Well, for me, it's probably one of the reasons why I wanted to come to the Richmond Footy Club. Playing in front of big crowds every week. No matter where we go, we always have Richmond fans. Every captain's run pre-game, they always come out no matter what, if it's raining or if it's sunny. So it was amazing to be able to share that moment and just try to get as many photos along the boundary line doing our lap after the game, because they're absolutely a part of this as much as us.
And then Bash, Premiership sides often say the most special moment is when you get inside the rooms and you just have that first 10, 15 minutes when it's just the players. What's that moment like?
Yeah, it's great when you're in the meeting room, but before that, obviously, there's always family and friends around. It's very heated up. I mean, literally very heated up. It's very, very warm because the room is actually, the capacity of it is beyond. But that moment when you get the opportunity to sit in the coach's room, with the 44, 45 players, with the coaching staff, with, I guess, the staff that, prepare you every single week. That's a very, very special moment. And, there are minimal words said, but it's all about reflection. It's about reflection on a fantastic year, and it's all about, the great journey that we're on. It's been a fantastic journey thus far, and very, very proud of my teammates and the club that what we've been able to achieve in the last 3 years.
We always pay particular attention to best and fairest winners in premiership years, because it's almost the ultimate honour in many ways, isn't it, to be adjudged as the most valuable player in the team that goes all the way and achieves the end goal. Dion, what does it mean to you to win the Jack Dye medal as the club's best and fairest in a premiership year?
It's just I know probably something I thought would never happen. I was just on the night. I was pretty emotional walking up the stage. I could just feel the tears coming as soon as I was walking up. So I guess it was. I knew I had a really good year, but it's something that you don't really think about until the night. And I was just so proud to be a Jack Dyer medalist. Really, seeing the past winners and everything like that was just I know probably it was a long week and got really emotional.
Bash, tell us about the contribution Dion's made since he walked in the door at the end of 2016. 2 flags in 3 years. Are you guys going to start calling him the difference?
Difference is a saying, not bad. Yeah, not bad, eh? Yeah. Dion's a sensational character. His on-field performance is elite. His ability to run from contest to contest is something that's very motivating and something that I look up to as a player as well, especially watching from half-back. But what's greater is his his contribution off field and the way he shares a gag or two. He's a man of a few words, I would say. Always walks into meetings probably within 3 or 4 seconds to go before the meeting starts, and always cool, calm, and collective. But different character. But what we love about Dion is his authenticity, and we love his values that he brings to our football club.
At the start of the show, we asked the question, what's changed at Richmond since the end of 2016 that's led to this success? What is the essence? What is the culture of this particular group?
So obviously I was just so lucky to come into the club in 2017, but I think we just embrace each other so much. We got a lot of different characters, a lot of beliefs in the club, but we just embrace everyone for who they are, players, staff, everyone who works at the club, and I think everyone who comes to the club as well. Like, we just love having people around us, and I just think we have a lot of love for each other, and that's why everyone always says that it looks like Richmond's having so much fun, and it's just because we are.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. It's been absolutely fascinating. Our sincere thanks for your wonderful insight into what's turned out to be an amazing season.
Yeah, thanks for having us on behalf of the Richmond Football Club and players, because this has given us a great opportunity to really reflect on a great season, and we're truly grateful for this opportunity, because I'm one that doesn't watch much football, but to be able to recap the season, to see the great football that we put on stage was something that we're extremely grateful for.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Footy never stands still. The planning for the Premiership defence has already begun. All that to look forward to in 2020. But as for 2019, it will always be remembered as Tiger time.